Good morning, guys. Welcome to this Thursday, June 25th. And it's news came when the earnings came out yesterday. So I saw that rally happening late in the day yesterday, that little crazy reversal the whole day and then spiked to new highs on the Nasdaq. That little rally, that thing, that was all Micron, I guess. So I guess they blew through their earnings in a pretty good way, and these guys are way up this morning. They were trading down almost to $1,000. I was looking at that thing saying, I'm waiting, maybe they'll have a little drop here after the earnings. No way, no way. They're up 17% now. And trading in new high territory. SanDisks as well, up 15%. Yeah, so the AI trade, the memory trade is massive right now. That's absolutely going on. So I'm just waiting for other memory to come online. I don't think it's a surprise that there's such a squeeze on the memory right now. So, but anyway, so Micron way up there and making new highs. So that's what's holding this whole thing up right now. Going into today's trading, we have a ton of news coming out right here from the get-go this morning. We have at 8:30, we get a news dump, if you wish. We get durable goods, GDP, jobless claims, personal income and outlays, and here we have the PCE read for inflation. Chicago Fed, corporate profits, retail wholesale inventories, all that stuff coming out. Now, the PCE index there, I know Fed usually look at that core PCE number. I'm not sure how Warsh and those guys are going to look at it, so it's going to be a question mark how big of a deal that report becomes in the future. But right now, I'm just going to assume it's going to be a big deal. So we'll leave it at that for now. But massive news dump in about 20 minutes, and then that's pretty much nothing the rest of the day. We have a Kansas City Fed Manufacturing Index coming out at 11, a 7-year auction at 1. So that's kind of what we got on tap for today. So we were heading lower. Yes, in the last couple of days we've been unwinding a trade, I guess. Some big trade setup has been unwinding, and you can see the market has been absolutely hammered. We were heading lower yesterday, going into the close, and we were trading right here at the low. And then you see here in P print, if I split that thing out, that has crazy that got. There was absolutely. Let me see. Come on, split it. There it is. You see how that split? They started from down here from the 74.20s and ran it all the way up here to 74.80. So 60 points straight up. And then they've been trading there in overnight. So that's your Micron earnings result. So that's pretty crazy. That's like an NVIDIA stuff. But I can't help think that that trade is a little bit overdone because it's memory, right? Memory. It's not like it's a huge intellectual property kind of deal. It's memory, and it can be fairly easily replicated. So I'm just waiting for that supply bottleneck to disappear, and I think the microns and the memory providers are going to be under a little bit of pressure when that happens. But man, so far I've been wrong on that trade. I haven't seen that happening just yet, but it may take a bit of time to get that supply back online. But NVIDIA has intellectual property, which is completely different. It's like they strangle the whole market. They have the market leadership. So that's a different story than just leading a bottleneck. So that's kind of my little take on that. But it's no matter. Market is just rushing into these stocks right now, and so we are right back up above this the 74.60s. And I'm just going to start this. Start with a slight bias to the upside and see if this thing gains a little bit of traction. We have a pretty good spot here, 74.50s. It starts trading below that. I'm taking off the long bias and going back range bound. So starting off favoring the long side, but we haven't really taken out this area, the high here, and extended to the upside. So I wouldn't say we're starting from the long side. I would just look at this as a news reaction, and then let's see if the overall trade is going to keep unwinding or if it's more or less done. Hard to say. So if they take out the resistance at 74.95, and then we'll lean in on the long side, looking for that retracement trade and see how we can move higher. If not, we'll stay range bound, but favoring the long side at least to get started. Looking to buy weakness at 74.70s and the 50s, rotations up. Below that 74.50s, yes, go back range bound and see and start trading it as such. If they start taking out this low here, the 74.20s, start trading back here to test the lows at 7400, I would start leaning in on the short side a little bit more. You still look to buy against the 74.20s and the 7400s, but if this reaction gets reversed here in the day session and people take the opportunity to sell this strength, we may find ourselves extending to the downside here in pretty short order as well. So that's kind of where what the potential options are for us. So I will just wait for the news to pass in 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes now, and see what the reaction is. If we have any directional moves, they'll either take out the 74.95 or take out the low here at the 7400s. If not, if it gets volatile but not necessarily directional, then we'll just start to look at the analysis. And right now it will be a potential short setup at the 74.90s. Looking to buy early weakness, 74.70s, 74.50s. And if they trade below the 50s here, I'm going to go back pretty much range bound and trade it as such. Looking in the afternoon or looking for potential continuation of that unwind. And that would be a very big potential, if you wish, or if that trade is not unwound yet, it could certainly keep going lower. So we'll see what happens, but that's kind of the starting point. So range bound, favoring alongside to get started right out of the gate. Below 74.50, take off the long bias, go back range bound. If they start taking out 74.95, look for potential continuation. Otherwise, that would be a short opportunity. And on the way down, if they start taking out the 74.20s, I would be more aggressive on the short side. Still looking to buy against these lower support areas, just not as aggressively, trading it as more of a range bound market. But if they start taking out that 74.15 to 20s and start extending to the downside, I think we may be right back in that unwinding sell-off. And then we'll stay on the short side at that point. All right, so that's the ES to get started. Fairly straightforward, I think, at least to get started, and then we'll see what the market is up to. NASDAQ is the one we potentially can save the day and run this higher. That is the one which potentially can get some traction going here. So you see NASDAQ, they started retracing quite a bit. You see that peak print, that's how that reversed, right? Let me move this away for a second and see if I can get this scratched up a little bit. Let's see. There you go. So P print, we were trading way below here in the 29,600s. And we are right up here to, so they reversed it like 500 points on the NASDAQ. That's how crazy that was. The whole day session, we were pressured to the downside. We were heading lower. And the whole thing was just reversed, took out the highs, reversed, took out the high of the 30,000s. And we're holding above that right now. So NASDAQ is on fire this morning and could potentially be the one which changes the dynamic. So if that pressure keeps going, then money start rolling back into these AI stocks, given that the memory forecast was so crazy. I think we have a shot at trading up above that 270s and maybe right back up to new highs in no time. So that's how crazy this is. Everyone is looking for a reason for this AI trade to fall apart or the money to run out or there be a problem somewhere. So you get these wild reactions to it, you know. It's just that if you sit sitting on those stocks, it's like a wild ride. You know, it's like big stocks are like running like 20-25% up and down in valuation. It's absolutely crazy. But I would start on the long side on the NASDAQ, given where they are right now. So if they trade below this 29,930s, the session lows, I will take off the long bias and go back range bound. Maybe give it one level down to the 860s, given that it's so volatile. Initially, I'm looking to buy weakness against the 30,100, 30,000s, 29,930s for rotations up. Below the session low at 930s, taking off that long bias. Last one to buy against, last one below the obvious is going to be 860s for rotations back up again. So I would not be surprised if they see an attempt to reverse this crazy pop, the last pop here of the highs. But it's if they keep pulling back further than that, that would be not early weakness. That would be retracement, profit taking, or something to that effect. But right now, they go pre-market. These stocks looks like they are freaking rocking. They're flying to going to the moon. So there you have it. So they get up above that 270s. I think they're going to be right back up in this upper range again, and we may have a shot at extending, heading back up to the highs again. So going to be a very interesting day. But again, wait for the data dump here at 8:30 to pass. See where the market is going, if it's retracing or if it's kind of holding on to the gains. On the Nasdaq specifically, watch these two lower areas. If both of them comes out, this whole thing is getting reversed. If not, we can certainly see these guys trade higher. And if they keep going higher, they're gonna drag the ES with it. So, and then you stay on the long side on the ES as well. They're not going to be aggressive on the short side on the Nasdaq. They're in territory right now where there could be short setups up here, but given the news and the reaction in the overnight, I would not be aggressive on the short side just yet. So kind of watch to see what happens with this thing. And most of all, just let that 8:30 news pass first and see, because it's a big data dump. See how the market wants to react to it. On the bond side of things, we are looking at they're holding right up here against the 114s. And in the bigger picture, you can see capital flow, and we are right up here heading up towards a test of the 114.30, 115s right now. A little bit more to go, but yesterday was a pretty good reaction to the upside. Yields came down pretty good, market trading higher. Oil trading at 69, below 70. So as long as oil keeps going lower and the straight stays the same, and all the pundits second guessing everything are proven wrong, then I think at least the Iranian deal is going to calm down in the short term. It may very well blow up again later on, but right now, for the next 60 days, I think that's going to be reasonably calm. And then we'll see how the holding shakes out from there. But the oil and I think the bond market's reacting to that Iranian deal, and that it's holding together still, at least. So yields coming down a bit, prices going up. That's a good sign, at least in the short term. So I would stay on the long side on the bonds, given yesterday's. If this take out now the London low 113.30, I would be a little bit more aggressive on the short side, because that could be a good retracement. Sometimes when they run up here like a one-off like this, it could very well be that there's some other reason than the bigger picture to which does it, and it could very well be that they retrace that whole thing the next day. So. Right now, I'm not. This just one big day to the upside on the bonds. I'm not going to assume it's going to keep going higher, but I'm going to start from the long side nonetheless, and then watch that 130.30. If that comes out and start retracing, then there could be a nice short trade in there for a retracement to the downside here. So that's the bond market to get started. Light bias to the upside, and then let's see how far it can take it. And we know how to we know how to change our bias. The 1422, as you see on the capital flow here, the 1422 level right there, that ledge is the one to I think they're heading to test, and that would be a couple of levels higher. So we'll see how that develops here. The news comes out today could certainly turn all this stuff upside down. So we just have to be waiting for that news to pass. If it does, we still have an analysis to fall back on what levels to key in on, but right now, it's hard. The starting point bias to the upside on the bonds, slight bias on the ES, slight bias on the and a long bias on the Nasdaq. Could change in a heartbeat just depending on the news coming out here. Crypto-wise, I did a couple of trades yesterday. I haven't done anything today so far. It's been just a kind of back and forth kind of sloppy stuff going on. So not much going on in the cryptos right now. I'll let you know if I do any trades on that. But that's still, if you want to get your Coinbase account hooked in there and try it out, and that's I don't know if you have Coinbase accounts, but that's I'm going to try to get some more business on that side of things. These guys had an opportunity to really put the squeeze on the CME if they play their cards right. So, but So CME may not be the only game in town in short order, but there's a little bit of a path there first. They're not that big just yet. Anyway, back to the ES and the Nasdaq, and so far we are kind of holding where we left it. So at this point, staying with the favoring the long side on the ES and definitely starting from the long side on the Nasdaq. Then let's see how this whole thing shakes out. All right, guys, that's how we get started. So good trading, guys. I'll see you back at 11:30 for the next update later.